What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Imperfect Action Show. This is episode 66. We're closing in on 100 episodes. Make sure you guys tune in July 8th. I think it's going to be epic. I know it's going to be epic. Today's episode is a little different from the previous ones because we haven't really dove deep into wholesaling. We talk a lot about investing. I brought a lot of different people on here that spoke about investing. We talked about buying businesses. We talked about crypto, NFTs. A lot of you guys probably don't know that I actually spent a little bit of time dabbling in wholesaling, and I realized it's something I didn't want to pursue full time. But I understand a little bit of the game and the nuances. So, with that being said, our current guest, he has one of the number one rated podcasts on this subject on Apple, right? Recently helped, actually, and counting, helped so many of his students close their first deals up, some of 145,000 and still counting. I want to bring on a real estate investor, current wholesaler, and a teacher of the subject as well, Mr. Luke Medeiros. Welcome to the pod, sir.
What's going on, Brandon? Thank you so much for having me on here, brother. I am excited to be here today. I'm grateful to be here today and share anything I can to help everyone listening today be able to generate either another stream of income, whether that's through wholesaling or whatever we discuss today. I'm just here to provide as much value as I possibly can, and I'm grateful to be here, brother. Thank you so much for having me on.
Amazing, bro. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna send a quick text out to the community. I like to let them know that we're live and popping. So while I'm doing that, why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself and your journey into wholesaling? Like, how'd you even get into real estate wholesaling?
Well, Brendan, I fell into real estate wholesaling sort of by fate. I like to tell people that it was more destiny than anything else, right? I don't come from a family that has a line of real estate professionals. I actually was born from a family of 8 children, a Haitian family from Haiti. I came here to America when I was 3 years old, Brendan, and so real estate was never in my bloodline, right? It was just never anything that I was ever exposed to when I was growing up. But when I came across it, which was after I had graduated college, when I did my first deal, it opened I was literally just diving into this whole new world called real estate, and I fell in love with it. Now, how did that happen? This is a story that would take me hours to explain to you, of course, right? But if I could make it short and sweet, I ended up here in Orlando, Florida, back in 2013. And when I got here, I did not know what I was going to do with myself. I did not know what I was going to do. I actually ended up here because I had dropped out of college the first time I went to college. I was going to college to become a registered nurse, which I'm sure today, that's a very lucrative thing now. And it always has been, which is why my parents, right, and I'm sure there's many people that probably relate to this, especially if you have island parents. They wanted us, all of us, to get a degree and to go through college and to find a job that's going to be stable and that could help us just be able to take care of ourselves with. And for me, it made a lot of sense, which is why I went to college. But for me and for who I was and what I wanted and what I desired in myself and who I knew I was, it didn't fit with me. So, when it came to actually devoting my time, when it came to actually, being 100% focused in it, I wasn't focused in it. And so it didn't happen. So I dropped out of college. And I ended up in Orlando because my parents were like, okay, I'm done. You're not doing anything here. I was out all night. I wasn't doing literally nothing productive is happening in my life. And they just decided to say, your brother, he lives in Orlando. You got to get out of here. Go live with your brother in Orlando. And so that's exactly what happened. And I'm still trying to figure out my life, right? And so I get to Orlando, and I decided to go to school a second time. I decided to go to college again. So broke college student, no money. Decided to go to college again. As this time went for audio engineering, which I did graduate. I graduated a little late, but I still graduated. One of the things that throughout my teenage years and growing up that I battled with was dyslexia. So it's naturally difficult for me, right? For me to have a level of focus and be able to, comprehend things in a manner where it makes a whole lot of clarity in the beginning. But that did not stop me from doing the things that I wanted to do. And one of the things that I always loved to do, Brendan, when I was a young boy, around 14 years old, I really started to just create and produce music. I absolutely love that, right? I absolutely love producing music. That's why I went to school as an audio engineer. I did that because I was pursuing a producing career that I thought I would have, right? And as I'm going through this journey, I find myself going through college with little to no money. I don't have great credit, and I'm just trying to make a way, right? Like most college students. And so what I ended up doing, I took a living expense check and I purchased a camera. Now, this camera, I utilize this camera, Brendan. I utilize this camera to literally, like, as a way to make money as I was going through school, right? So the idea was, hey, maybe I could take some photography here, maybe I could do some videos for some people. I can get paid and I can make some money. I didn't make any money doing it. I did not make any money doing it. As a matter of fact, I did a lot of free work. Now, Neo, you know Neo, Brendan, like that's how we met, brother. Like, so he always says, give your gift away. And I did a lot of that, right? I took what I was good at and I started to give my gift away. And that camera brought me places. It brought me to different, to different rooms, right? And eventually where it brought me to was to meet my real estate mentor who would then teach me how to do this method that I now teach people how to do, right? Which is wholesaling real estate. And that happened all while I was in college. And I remember I graduated May 5th, 2016. That's when I graduated college. I finally made it happen, got my bachelor's degree, and I'm on my way, right? And shortly after that, about 3 months later, I closed my first real estate deal. I made $31,125.97
On the
in
first deal.
90 days.
On the
And
first
I'm
deal.
like, and I'm like, I'm gonna keep doing this. I'm gonna keep doing this. This looks like something that would work for me, right? It's for me, I've always felt I've always had the entrepreneurial spirit. Entrepreneurs, as entrepreneurs, we want time freedom, right? A lot of times we think it's money all the time. Money's good, but really when you become successful as an entrepreneur, you get a lot of time freedom. You get to do what you want. And so that's the thing that really attracted me to entrepreneurship. And that's the thing that really kept me going with real estate, is because I saw a way that I could literally get out here, utilize the system, utilize the strategy, right? That I could do, that anyone could do to make money. And I could make these large sums of capital that I could then take to go do whatever else I need to do, refund the business. And so that's how it all got started. It got started by a twist of fate. Even when I was exposed to real estate, I had no interest in it, Brendan. I had no interest in it. I was doing photography. I was doing videography, and I was happy with that at the time. I was happy with that. But when I saw what was possible with just a little bit of focus and the right strategy, right, and also having a mentor, I had a mentor to show me, how to get to point A to point B as quickly as possible. When I had these three things together, I was able to make something new happen in my life that changed the entire trajectory of my life. Who knows what I'd be doing? Before I got into it, I used to serve tables, Brendan. I was serving tables. My first job was as a caregiver at an assisted living facility. I used to work with Alzheimer's patients, dementia patients. That was my first job, helping people, right? So I've always had this knack for helping people anyway. But when I found a way to do that and also make a large sum of capital while I do it, and on top of that, it was something so simple, I'm like, okay, I'm sticking to this, right? And I'm gonna take this as far as I can possibly take it. And it's taken me so far that I've had experiences in my life, Brendan, that I know for a fact that I would have never had in my life had I not made a decision to go through with becoming successful, because it wasn't easy. Even with a mentor, that first deal was it took 90 days, right? It took 90 days, and I know that there's for some people 90 days may sound like a short period of time. For others, 90 days may sound like a lifetime, right? Because we want things instantly. But I
Yeah.
can tell you, 90 days, $31,000, an entire year's salary in just a quarter of the year, and not even investing all the 40 hours a week that it takes to do it. I said, I want to keep doing this. And most importantly, I want to grow in this. And so that's how it all happened.
Bro, that was a really great picture you just painted right there, right? You gave a lot of perspective. You shared a lot of like the journey of how you got there, how you stumbled upon it. but you also talked about how you didn't make no money with the photography and the videography, but that led you to find what you find, right? So I think that that underlay of commitment and discipline for something that allows you to get into another room, I think is commendable. So that's kind of like what I took from it, right? You guys might be doing something right now that you're not seeing the results from, or maybe it's something that you enjoy doing. Like you said, you love the photography, but it wasn't the medium in which that led you to get, you know what I'm saying, to get these deals done, to actually bring in this commerce, right? To actually, you know, bring in the money. But it put you in spaces, so you were committed to that, and then it put you in other spaces that led you to find your mentor. Then you stumbled on this wholesaling thing, and then this is kind of where we are. So first off, I just want to commend you. Second off, what I want to say is, right, today episode is about the value and the importance of wholesaling, right, real estate and investing, and the title alone kind of gives a lot, right? So let's talk about that real quick. From a consumer standpoint, what is the value of wholesaling, right? So I want to buy a house right now. I'm just used to, hey, I'm gonna go on Zillow, Redfin, Compass. I'm gonna look in Google, find a house. Okay, cool. I'm gonna pay retail, got a house. So what's the value of, you know, the average consumer looking to purchase a property, but doing it through a real, you know, a wholesale strategy versus just a retail strategy? Why don't we start right there?
Now, I love that question. I love that question because retail and wholesale are two different worlds, right? It's easy to to confuse the two and think it's all mixed in, but it's really two different worlds. I'm gonna tell you why, especially when it comes to a consumer, someone who's looking to purchase a property, maybe live in it, right, as a primary residence. It's a different world when you're dealing with wholesale type properties. A lot of times those properties need work, right? Which is why we're able to get them at a discount. Now, when you're dealing with retail properties, a lot of the times the properties that are going up on the market, listed with realtors that are selling for top dollar, a lot of those properties are in tip-top shape. A lot of those properties are renovated. A lot of those properties are kept up well so that they can, they can sell for the max dollar. And so essentially, as a retail person, as a person buying retail, okay, as a consumer, should I say, purchasing a house. If you want to purchase a house and you don't want to have to go through the trouble of putting in the work in that property, right? Retail is the way to go. Could you still find maybe a few deals on the market? Possibly. Right now, we all know what's going on.
I like that. I like that word you just highlighted, and I love the emphasis. Possibly.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because as we know, the values of homes are at an all-time high right now. And so here's the thing about that. When you're purchasing on the market, and this is, real estate has seasons like any other business, right? There are going to be times where the market's going to be at its peak, and there are going to be times where the market slows down. Right now, we are in what's called a seller's market. So everything's selling for top dollar, above top dollar. So if you're somebody right now that's buying a house for yourself, because there is so much demand, and I know this is specific here in Florida, specifically when my market here in Orlando, houses are selling for above asking price. So, and it's selling cash. So if you're somebody utilizing an FHA loan, conventional loan, and you're trying to, traditional bank financing, and you're attempting to purchase a home for yourself that you can live in, you have a lot of competition right now. Now, why is this important to understand? The only major difference, again, between retail and wholesale is the fact that wholesale is as a wholesaler, you're getting properties off market. These properties that you're getting a hold of, these properties that you're getting under contract, these opportunities that you have to purchase a house. These properties are not in the eyes of thousands of thousands of thousands and thousands of buyers across the entire planet because it's not listed on the market. It's actually sort of like a private market, right? Like anything else. It's picture like this. You can go on eBay. Let's say you got a pen. You can go on eBay. You can sell this pen on eBay, and you got all the buyers of eBay looking at this pen. That's retail. Okay. Versus wholesale. you have this pin, and the only people that know about this pin are the people that you notify about this pin. That is the idea of what it's like when you sell a property off market versus what you sell a property on the market, right? And so the reason why I share that is because as a consumer, if you're interested in purchasing a property for a discount, it may make sense for you to maybe consider looking at off market properties. Less competition, right? Like I mentioned before, a better price. Okay. Now the only thing about this is if you're going to purchase properties from a wholesaler, it's important to understand that most of the time, 9 times out of 10, bank financing is not going to finance an assignment. Okay, that's important to know. So, from a retail perspective, from a consumer purchasing a house for as a primary residence perspective, if you're utilizing FHA loans, conventional, either one, if you're utilizing bank financing, they're not going to let you purchase that house with an assignment. It has to be directly with that homeowner. So there's that caveat, right? But if you're purchasing a property off market from someone, maybe an investor that just has the property there, they own it and they're looking to sell it, and you want to purchase a property like that, absolutely, go ahead and put your offer in, right? But it's important to know the difference between off market and on market, and also how it works with wholesalers, because the nature of wholesaling, you're getting a property, you're getting a contract on a property for a discounted price, and then you're going to assign that contract for a higher price to an end buyer, whether that be somebody that wants to invest or own as a primary residence. Either way, that's the idea. Buy low, sell high, right? And so it's important to understand the mechanics of all of that, because as a consumer, you aren't really able to buy from a wholesaler unless you're going to come with your own cash, so your own financing, okay? Or maybe you utilize a private lender, okay? Or you utilize, investor financing, and you can maybe refi that on the back end. Now, that's a whole conversation for another time. But the point is, it's important to understand the way it works so you know exactly what you can or cannot do. Because as a consumer purchasing a property for themselves, depending upon where you're going to get your source of funding from, it really caps what you can do. All right, so let me put the cherry on the top here. In terms of which direction, like you mentioned earlier, Brendan, which direction would make a whole lot of sense? What's the difference between the two? Buying retail. All right, buying retail, you're always buying directly to the seller. The agent that is representing that property, that sale is doing. They're representing the sale. They don't purchase the property and then resell the property. They're just representing. This is important because ideally, what's happening is when you purchase a property on the market, you're purchasing directly to sellers. So when you are buying with your FHA or conventional loan, right, the bank approves it. Okay. So if you're going to buy off market, it's important to understand how that stuff works. It's totally possible. However, off market properties that realm is more for investors, right? It's more of an investor type realm. Retail is more of a consumer type realm. It's like anything else, right? Most of the time, if you're a consumer like me, right, and you want to go to the grocery store, 9 out of 10, you're not going to the farmers market where the farmers are actually selling their groceries. You can, right? But most of the time, we either go to Publix, or we might go to Winn-Dixie, or we might go to Whole Foods, right? And we're buying the products that way, that's retail. Okay, and so I want to paint the picture as vividly as possible, because the major difference as to whether or not you purchase retail or whether or not you purchase wholesale all comes down to what you are actually open to doing. What do you actually want? Do you want a house that's already done, it's already fixed up, it's already ready? If you do, go retail. If you do, buy new construction. If you do, purchase properties on the market. If you want, but if you want discounted properties, if you don't mind putting in some work, maybe this house might need a roof, maybe this house might need new paint, maybe this house might need some renovations. If you don't mind that, then absolutely go ahead, take advantage of the off-market properties that you can buy, right? Where you're not at the mercy of paying top dollar for the properties that are on the market. So I hope that answers your question, brother.
Yeah. You definitely over delivered in that answer right there. I got a couple of questions for you. And community, if you guys have any questions about purchasing real estate, the wholesale route, investing, approaching that market, drop your questions in the chat. make sure Luke answers them. I hold him to that. So, couple things, right? First of all, let's talk about the mindset, right? So the mindset of somebody buying a house, because generally what you're talking about, I agree with, right? There's two different realms, right? Two different industries. You can go the consumer route. The house is pretty much ready to go. It's either ready to go off top, or there's minimal things that you got to do it. Or the wholesale route, which is, the house most likely going to be, you got to put a little bit more sweat equity into it. You might need to actually pay for things, new roof, a whole new plumbing system or whatever, right? You may need to do some siding, some footing. You might need to do some pointing, whatever it calls for. Maybe need a whole gut renovation. But I think in speaking on mindset with it, people may not know about wholesaling as an option. So they just by default go into the consumer market, right? So they're gonna spend a little bit more with the idea like, yeah, I'm gonna be in this property for 12 months, 24 months, and then I'm gonna buy the next one. So I guess it's a two-part question. First question is, where are people finding wholesale deals? Number one. And then number two, how do people become more educated on their options before they go to purchase their first property? Because, the average person, consumer who's going to enter into the real estate market for the first time, they're gonna go to realtor.com, they're going to Zillow. But it's not because they wouldn't go to wholesaling. They don't even know it exists. So those are the questions. So where do they go, right? To see these wholesale deals, or who do they need to look for? And then the mindset, right? Like how do I get my mind around knowing that this information exists, and then making that discernment? Okay, I want to actually go the wholesale route because ultimately I am an investor, right? So what would you say to that that type of consumer?
Absolutely. That's a beautiful question, brother. To answer the first question, right? The mindset that I feel would be very powerful to have, especially as a consumer. Remember, there's always a middleman most of the time, right? And what I mean by that is, you remember earlier we talked about examples like Target, right? Target is a retailer. Retailers are buying wholesale to sell to you. So at the end of the day, there's a middleman somewhere. So the way I look at it is this way. If I was to start something new, I would look at it for what I see, right? Real estate, retail, buy properties on the market. And then I would ask myself the question, is there maybe a wholesale market? Is there maybe an off-market version of this? Is there maybe a way I can purchase properties at a discounted rate? And then what I would do is I'd go on Google and I'd literally ask all those questions to Google.
Yeah.
Because awareness is everything, discovery is everything, right? Once you're aware, you could then dive deeper and take advantage of that. So that's a very, very, very powerful question. That's what I'd recommend. Ask that question when you're looking at something. Is there another? Can I possibly get it cheaper? If so, how? Right? As investors, we like to get everything at a discount. First of all, that's how we make money, right? We need to make sure we have equity. We need to make sure that whatever our investment that we're investing in, one, has equity, two, has cash flow, right? Or either one of the two benefits, because we want to make money. And so the way I look at it is this: saving money is very similar, right? When you save money, you make money, right? When you save money, you make money. And so is there a way I can get this similar product, this similar house or whatever it is, for a cheaper price? And if so, how do I do that? Right? You're gonna start to learn about wholesaling. Now, the nature of wholesaling is that you're going directly to homeowners, right, who may want to sell. And if they want to sell, you're offering them an offer, right, for whatever price you can pay, right? You would have done your numbers, I'm assuming, right? And smart investors do their numbers. And so you do your numbers, you figure out how much you can pay, and then you give out that offer. But the nature of what you're doing is you're working directly with the homeowner versus going on the market.
Are they going next door? Like, Are they going next door? Are they going down the street? Like are they canvassing? Like how are they starting these conversations? Because I guess one thing I think, because I used to be a realtor, I was a realtor for 7 years, and I can understand first time home buyers anxiety and their feeling overwhelmed with everything, you know what I'm saying? Everything that they need to do and prepare for. And it's been a long journey to get to this point. So now receiving what you're saying, hey, how else could we do this? How could I do it different? How could I do it cheaper? What's another way I can make this purchase, which is a great mindset to have? Does that then potentially add more on their plate, creating more anxiety, creating more like that feeling of a lotness, pressure? Will that deter them? So then, will I not knock on the door, or will I not find these deals because I'm already a little hesitant? You know what I'm saying? So what do they like? What's the easiest way for them to find one of these deals?
That's a great question. So here, the easiest, simplest way. Let's say maybe you want to be a wholesaler. Maybe you don't want to go through what it takes to actually get that wholesale deal under contract. Just work with a wholesaler. That's
Mm.
the easiest way.
So
Work with
that's
the
the
people
cheat code.
already
So
doing the
find
business.
so find a wholesaler. That's the cheat code right there.
That's
There you
it.
go. There you go.
That's it. That's it. Find a wholesaler. Another really cool thing, if you want to, if you don't mind doing some work, right? There's for sale by owners who literally raise their hand all day, waiting for somebody to come along and give them an offer. And here's something really cool about this, because as a consumer, this is one of the things that we actually do for some of our retail customers. As a consumer, the for sale by the FISBOs are wonderful, right? They're called FISBOs, for sale by owners. They're wonderful. And I'm going to tell you why. Most of the time, people who are raising their hands as for sale by owners have properties that are actually in really decent shape. Most of the time. They believe they can sell it on their own. They're confident in it, and they're just waiting for the right person to come along and just buy the house, right? But they don't want to pay the realty fees or the cost of having to list the property, so they try to sell on their own. So what does that mean for them? Their issue is they don't have enough exposure to get the price that they want, because most of the time the people that they're getting calling their phone are going to be people like myself, investors who want to get the property for a discount. So as a consumer, your competition in that realm, right? You have a lot less competition because, again, if you're willing to go on the market and pay top dollar, why not pay for sale by owner top dollar and get your offer accepted? Well, less competition. And so that's the idea. So if that's something that you don't mind doing, just looking around, and a great way you can do this from the comfort of your own home is getting on Zillow.com and just looking up for sale by owners in your area, or whatever area that you wish to buy a house in. And you'll be able to see some of the for sale by owners that people are listing up for sale. And you can give them a call. And it's literally as simple as that.
So we got a question right now from the community. This one's coming from Kiana. She's asking, what are some of the top pros and cons of wholesaling real estate?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. Wonderful question. Now, the top pros with wholesaling real estate are, it's simple. It's the most simplest strategy in real estate investing that you can do. And it yields, you can make a lot of money. So for a little bit of effort, a little bit of investment, right? You don't have to have hundreds of thousands of dollars to purchase property, because you're not doing that, right? You just need some money to market yourself, to get out there, maybe drive around in the area, look for properties, right? And looking for an opportunity where you can get a property at a discount. And you can literally make money doing that. And you literally pass on that opportunity to another investor for a higher price. You assign that opportunity to them and you make money. You can do this in literally 90 days. I have an entire free training on this on my IG, or you can go to slwcontent.com, and where I literally show you this is 4 simple steps on how to do this, a free training. And it's very, very simple. So those are some of the pros, right? Now, the biggest con with wholesaling is that wholesaling is a revolving door. I want to make sure this is very clear with everybody, right? I love wholesaling because it is so powerful when you want to build capital. It's a capital building strategy. So if you just want to be able to make some money, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 50, 100, right? With this very simple strategy that you can do over and over, that's wholesaling. But if you want to start building wealth, if you want to start building passive income residual, you got to actually own the property for that, right? So the downside to wholesaling is that you're literally giving away wealth. You're in the business of acquiring wealth and literally selling that wealth. I want to make sure this is clear with everybody. So this is why it's also important. This is why I teach this strategy and I'm so passionate about it, because at the same time as it is a strategy where as a con, you are literally passing on the wealth, right? As a pro, you now have an engine inside of your real estate business that acquires all your wealth, and all you got to do is make the decision to keep it. And so I absolutely love those questions. A few other pros with wholesaling is that you don't have to, invest into doing any kind of repairs or anything like that into the houses. You're not owning any property when you wholesale. You're literally just flipping paper. Okay, and so that's a huge pro about wholesaling. The biggest con that I know, though, that honestly for me on all the deals that I've done has been the fact that you don't keep the wealth when you wholesale. So I would say that's the biggest con with wholesaling. Other than that, it's an absolutely phenomenal strategy.
So we're a little past the time, which is fine because you've been giving a lot of value right here, and I want to make sure people get some, get even more value. So let's think about the novice potential wholesale candidate, right? Maybe they have been inspired, listen to your pros, your cons, how easy and simple are they getting that they can get into wholesaling real estate, utilizing your 4-step strategy and things like that. What are some of the books, programs, what are some of the resources and materials that they can get access to that maybe you have experienced yourself that you would highly recommend for someone starting their journey?
Yes, absolutely. I would read Rich Dad Poor Dad. If you haven't already, I'd read that book by Robert T. Kiyosaki. That'd be the first place I would start. I would start with a lot of mindset as well. Another recommendation I would have is Napoleon Hill, Outwitting the Devil, because that's what took me through when I was going through that first deal, when I was going through college and I was going through one of the toughest times in my life. That's what took me through and kept me going and taking massive action. And also Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill as well is a phenomenal read. And I would recommend those books to start with right there. Wholesaling is a very, very simple strategy. So in terms of actual wholesaling, if you wanted to pick up something on wholesaling, listen to my podcast. Listen, I literally give it away on the
plug
podcast.
The podcast, bro. Gotta plug the podcast. I'm gonna make sure that the link is below so they can access the podcast. They can access the website so they can get in touch with you and what you have going on, man. We could keep going, bro. Like you've been giving so much value. I feel like you and I just having a conversation that people just have access to. Like literally, that's what it feels like. I've learned so much just in talking with you, and I know that the people that are watching in real time, people that are watching the playback, also getting a ton of value. But let's say they want to get more value from you, right? How can they get in contact with you? What do you have available? I know you just talked about the pod, so make sure you plug the pod again. But if I want to work, if they want to work with you more intimately and really work your 4-step method, how are they able to do so?
Absolutely. Wonderful question. The best way to get a hold of me is to go to my IG. Go to @LukeMadeus. That is @LucMadeus. Send me a message. Let me know you want to work together. We'll schedule a call. We'll get to work together. Another great resource as well. Okay, if you want more information, I always tell people, right? There's a lot of free content out there that I have that has helped many people get going. Now, if you want to go and you want to, if you want to work one-on-one, you want me to work with you, definitely let's talk. But if you want to just get the information, right, I have a plethora of information available to you. A lot of it that's free. You can check the podcast School of Wholesaling podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, almost every podcast platform, no matter where you're listening from, Spotify, YouTube. You can also go to sowcontent.com. This is going to make everything very simple for everybody listening right now. No matter where, no matter what you want, no matter what you desire, I'm here to help you. Go to sowcontent.com. You'll find everything there. You can book a call with me. We can get on the phone. We can talk about mentorship. You can also access my simple 4-step strategy system.
I'm trying to access the 4 simple strategy system.
You can access that system. Go to sowcontent.com. There's a free training. All you got to do is register for it, and you could go through that training. And I'm going to break down the 4 simple steps. Literally, it is so simple and so tight. It's going to generate you results as long as you work it. So it'll work if you work it. All right, it's 4 simple proven steps. And so that's what I recommend. Go to sowcontent.com. You'll find everything there, from my podcast to the free training to booking a call with me, and even checking out some of my publications, New York Weekly. Whatever you want to see is right there on sowcontent.com.
So, Luke, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your schedule and joining us on the podcast this morning. Obviously, we touched on the value and importance of wholesaling real estate and why this should be a viable option for people that are looking to get going in real estate and acquiring properties. I definitely look forward to having you on again, so we can talk about more subjects within real estate, because I think that the more people know that this option exists, the more they can actually move and shake and actually strategize, their property acquiring properties moving forward. You know what I'm saying? Just having additional viewpoint of, like, you know what, I don't have to just do it this way. There's other ways for me to do it. And I don't really see myself in one particular property for 30, 40, 50 years, but I could actually use this to create wealth. Because I like how you said there that, wholesaling real estate is a great way to acquire, lump sums of wealth and stuff like that. So real quick before we head out, right? Tomorrow's episode 67. I want everybody to understand. I want everybody to know that this episode is sponsored by the Authority Builder Program, my 4-month mentorship. If you're a coach, consultant, course creator, and you're stuck with your marketing messages, you're stuck on 5K, 10K a month, you want to, explode that threshold, remove that ceiling, you definitely want to make sure that you click the link below, book a call, either with myself or someone from my team. We'll lay out a whole strategy to get you to that next level. Literally, just like Luke said, 4 simple steps. There's 4 key offer strategies that you should have. And if you do not have all 4, you're missing out, right? So, Luke, again, thank you for being on the show. You got so much wealth of knowledge. You guys make sure you tap in to his Instagram at Luke Bendeas. Tap into the sowcontent.com. Make sure you check out the School of Wholesaling on iTunes. Well, actually, no, Apple Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, things like that. Tap in with my guy so you can get more knowledgeable on why you should be using wholesale real estate as a strategy, man. All right. This has been the Imperfect Action Show. Luke, I will see you soon. Tomorrow, guys, episode 67. We got another amazing guest coming on that's going to give you so much value. And I'll see you guys soon. All right. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Thank you so much.